Guys, we are entering a dangerous economic war that could destroy everything we have hoped to build as a continent. I'm going to show you what is happening right now and where all of this may be leading Africa. So stay with me.
We are calling on everybody to think Africa, act Africa, and prosper Africa.
It comes down to the change of mindset.
I think this is an opportunity which Africa should not miss.
As the old adage goes, there is strength in unity. For the 55 African Union member states, that strength lies in numbers. With a population of 1.2 billion and a GDP of $2.5 trillion, the prospect and now realization of a continental free trade area for Africa promises to usher in a new era of industrialization and business opportunities.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mami Soma. Friends, since June 30th protest in the removal of foreigners from South Africa, we have seen angry conversations, threats and retaliation videos flying from one African country to another. But what is following this crisis does not look good at all, and nobody is watching. In fact, what is facing us looks like the beginning of something dangerous, an economic war within the borders of Africa. First, let us go back to the videos we have all seen over and over again. After that, I will show you through a series of other videos how far this issue has traveled and where it may be leading the continent.
In Durban, Malawian migrants wait for transport home, while hundreds of Zimbabweans camp outside the consulate in Cape Town, hoping to secure a place on evacuation buses. Mozambique, Malawi and Zimbabwe continue to repatriate their citizens as concerns grow that protests could turn violent and deadly. For many, it's a very frightening and unsettling situation, despite the South African authorities ramping up security.
You can see we are sleeping outside waiting for buses and stuff. We just want to go home. Everyone just want to go home.
A plane load of Nigerians evacuated from South Africa amid rising xenophobic tensions has touched down in Lagos. And the 258 men, women and children are the first group to leave on a flight chartered by their government. More than 1,000 Nigerians have signed up for the repatriation. African immigrants are leaving South Africa in large numbers.
Some reportedly left behind businesses and properties they had worked for over many years. And so because of that, Nigeria asked affected citizens to document what they had lost.
So I took up the discussion with her, and we have agreed that we are going to document, we are going to ask our people who are returning to begin to document what they are leaving behind. And that was the message yesterday before this set that are due to land in Lagos. I've asked them before they left yesterday to document very accurately those things they were leaving behind in terms of businesses, in terms of even cars, movable properties and immovable properties, so that we can now take it up with the South African government. That is the next step we are going to do. So this repatriation is not going to end just taking people to Nigeria. We are going to systematically follow up on those things, those informations given to us. And I told them to be very accurate with what they are going to give, because we are going to work with the South African government with that, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the police, to get the exact location of all these businesses and shops.
I remember Ghana also spoke about investigating the losses suffered by its citizens. This, I believe, should have led to a serious diplomatic discussion between other foreign nationals in South Africa. But instead of language that would calm the anger, South Africa's minister in the presidency came with this response.
In South Africa, property rights are guaranteed by the law. If you own a property in South Africa, it's registered. If it's a house, it's registered with the deeds register, Office of the Deeds Register. If you own a car, it's registered in the INAT system. If you own a business, it's registered with the CIPC. If you're renting offices, they're registered with landlords. But we'll be interested to know where the drug dens of Nigerians are. So they can show us where they've been holding the drugs so that we can clean the drugs in South Africa quite urgently. Those who had properties in South Africa, those properties are in the law. Informal squatter camps and informal settlements are never properties because they are illegal in the country.
Now she had every right to explain that legally owned house, cars and businesses must be properly registered. But when she went further and asked Nigerians to show South Africa where their drug dens were located, she poured petrol into the fire. That was not the language of a leader trying to calm a dangerous situation. It sounded like an insult directed at an entire nationality when the matter required diplomacy, investigation, and constraint. Crime has individual suspects. Crime does not have a nationality. Now, suddenly, what started with angry movement on the streets had entered official relations between two of Africa's biggest countries, and then it entered the Nigerian Senate. This is where the situation has gotten to.
South African minister to the effect that compensation will not be paid to those Nigerians whose properties were looted, shop burnt, and even life taken. But the government of Nigeria reciprocate by appropriating the profit accruing from South Africa shares in all South Africa companies in Nigeria, including their banks, IBCT, that the money be seized and used to pay Nigerians. Taking into account that this decision to give Nigerians June 30th as deadline was taken by a mob and respected by the government of South Africa. So we can't allow our people to come, we take taxpayers' money to pay compensation when South Africa investment and profit is being taken away. I urge that the profit be appropriated and use it to settle those who have been brutally destroyed, business burnt, life lost.
Now listen carefully to what is being proposed here. The senator is not only demanding compensation, he is suggesting that money earned by South African companies in Nigeria should be taken and used to compensate Nigerians who suffered losses in South Africa. Now, I understand the Senate did not adopt the proposal, but the fact that such retaliation reached the floor of Parliament should concern every African. An issue that began on the streets of South Africa, not intelligently and carefully managed, had now climbed into Nigeria's highest political chambers. That is how escalation works. And suddenly, the youth also took over, because what is good for the goose is also good for the gander, right? If South African leaders stayed and watched the youth commit such atrocities, then Nigerian youths are also ready to take the stage. They are saying, no, 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 we are not taking this from you guys.
We have Nigerian telecommunications that are doing well. We can invest in them. We are going to instruct our Aluta forces cut across the nation to begin to port from MTN to Nigerian-owned telecoms. We are going to also sound a clear note of warning to those who are using multi-choice products, who are using patronizing Stanbic IBTC, to begin to close down their accounts and start patronizing Nigerian-owned banks. We have the power, we have the capacity. Nigeria has a population of over 240 million people, and I can tell you for free that 60% of that population are youths. We are students, and we have the capacity to do it. If the government of South Africa is not ready to take responsibility, we are not going to be violent. We are not going to pay violence with violence, because two wrongs do not make a right. But we are going to go about it in a peaceful, coordinated way until our voices are heard, until the welfare of Nigerian citizens in South Africa are accounted for.
Now listen to the determination in their voices. These are youths. They are saying they will not carry stakes or physically attack South Africans like they did. Instead, they will close their bank accounts, abandon MTN, cancel DSTV, and stop patronizing South African-linked companies. This may sound more civilized than physical violence, right? But let me tell you this, economic warfare can destroy thousands of livelihoods without anybody lifting a stick. Now, this is where we must look deeper. We wanted to strengthen economic ties among African countries, but what we are now witnessing is an economic war. Thousands of people who have left their businesses, jobs, and livelihood behind in South Africa may now face serious financial hardship. And that hardship will not end with them. It will affect the families they supported and place additional pressure on the economies of their home countries. As if that is not enough, we have now entered another dangerous stage, a war against African-owned investments. Other African countries are threatening South African businesses operating within their borders. But when companies such as MTN, DSTV, and South African-linked banks suffer from massive boycotts or collapse due to low patronage, it will not be South Africa alone that feels the pain. Hundreds of thousands of Africans working directly and indirectly with these companies could lose their jobs. Agents, retailers, and small businesses that depend on them could also collapse. The unemployment we are struggling to reduce will now rise. It will rise even further. And when African economies becomes weaker, our government may be forced to run back to foreign powers for loans, investment, and emergency support. We may enter agreements that appear to solve today's problem but continue hurting the continent for many years to come. Do you see the engineering? Yes. Apart from the immediate economic damage, we are also destroying trust among ourselves. African businesses will begin to fear expanding into other African countries. They will ask themselves, if tempests rise tomorrow, will our company become the sacrificial lamb? Will our workers be protected? Will our investments survive the anger of the streets? Once that fear enters the African business environment, the dream of free trade and one continental market begins to collapse.
Well, what got us here is increasing realization that everywhere neighbors trade with neighbors. This is normal. What has been an anomaly for this continent is that since the 15th century, our trade has been directed primarily outside the continent. And that has to do with the way that Africa was inserted into the global economy. So this is what we are trying to reverse. So everything, our infrastructure has been built to support taking commodities from the interior to the ports and out to the north. So everything concerning trade has been organized around that external trade.
And the timing of these things could not be worse. You know, for some time now, people have been talking about the possible collapse of the dollar, the changing of global superpowers, and how the so-called powerful nations are suddenly turning their attention towards Africa to protect their economic interests, right? Everybody knows Africa is the next big thing. The world knows that Africa can no longer be ignored. But imagine how difficult it must be for some of these powers to accept that that continent they have always treated as inferior, the continent they saw only as a deposit of minerals and resources to enrich and sustain their own country, is now demanding a seat at the decision-making table. They cannot comfortably allow that to happen. Free trade among African countries will hurt their interests. Africa unity could drain the system that have survived on our division. Pan-Africanism will threaten the control they have enjoyed over this continent for generations. Now, we have no evidence that these crises were engineered by outside powers. But when global control is at stake, division does not always arrive carrying the name of the person behind it. Existing anger can be exploited, old wounds can be reopened, and Africans can be pushed against one another, whilst those who are benefiting stand quietly in the background, watch and smile. They are using our legitimate, unresolved wounds to break us. And I say legitimate because these problems are real. Unemployment is real. Poverty is real. Drug trafficking is real. Illegal immigration is real. These are not imaginary grievances. They are genuine wounds that our leaders have failed to treat. And those wounds have now become the openings through which Africa can be divided and weakened. Our pain is being redirected towards one another. Our frustration are being exploited, and sadly, it appears to be working perfectly. By the time we finally wake up, our unity may be broken, our economies weakened, and the opportunity for Africa to rise may have slipped away without us ever seeing how it happened. So from every angle, this retaliation is dangerous for Africa. It may begin as an attempt to punish one country, but it could end up weakening the entire continent, and those who will enjoy from all of this will be smiling. Do you know them? So friends, let me ask this. Will 2026 be remembered as the year Africa allowed pain and retaliation to destroy historic opportunity to rise? Or the year we recognize the danger and stop it before it was too late? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe. My name is Mami Soma. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next conversation. Bye.